Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hello.
am I audible?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
So, thank you very much for joining us in the first place.
Hi, everyone. So nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too, Dada. We are excited to have you here.
Thank
So,
you.
first things first, for the audience, this is our honorable speaker, SK Sanawaz from Computer Science 23. You may know him more famously as the founder of Writee. And Dada, if you could just
Yeah,
introduce yourself in very short for our current audience.
yeah, sure. Are we live now or like we are just
Yeah, we
having
are
a
live. We
meeting?
are live.
Okay, okay. So hi, everyone. Thank you to IEEE team for inviting me. So first of all, I am just a pass out student, which is I am in a class of 2023. Right now, I am an SDE at SLB and based out of Pune. So I have been an entrepreneur during my college days and still, uh, I mean, people mostly know regarding the co-founding of Writee, which was an AI-based copywriting startup. And I had done in my college days. So when I passed out of college in 2023, so it was acquired by a US-based firm. And right now, yeah, I am here in Pune currently. And so suddenly one day, I have been connected to Nazmus primarily due to some uh, project related work. So he reached out to me. He invited like we are having a session and like pass the mic and all. I have never been to like IEEE this session before, but quite seemed very interesting to me. So let's see. Let's talk to folks like what all we are about to do. Yeah. So thank you everyone, and let's see what we have in store.
Well, thank you, Dada. Welcome. Uh, In the beginning, let me tell you very briefly about Pasa Mic. So, Pasa Mic is all about inviting speakers to speak on their areas and interests from where they are and their expertise in the field. So far, in the previous editions, it was just about doing something on Spotify, but this time we wanted to make it more live and hands-on to make it more interesting for the audience. Just a minute. Okay, so you are the very first speaker of this edition of PTM. And today's topic is entrepreneurship in AI, and which relates to your expertise and field. Because we would like to know the young people who join JU of how can they go about their experience of engineering. Like it's not just about studying and placements. If they have some genuine interest, they can pursue that. So
Yeah. So.
this would be please
Mhm.
continue.
So, like being a student of Jadavpur University, I have been in the field of computer science and engineering. I did my bachelor's, and so starting with, I just say one thing that you are in the place where you are able to explore a lot of things. So first, I mean, you should try hands-on doing different things and exploring these things. So mostly the audience are, I mean, people here are the first and second years or like final, pre-final years also.
Their first and second years.
Okay, that's great actually, because like this is the prime time when you can actually explore whatever you want and you can try around with things, play around with things. So normally when third and fourth year comes, so that makes the whole schedule a bit more hectic, busy, and all. So that will also expose you to more commitments and all. So as you are nearing the end of the college term, so I mean this is the prime time when you can actually try out different things. So I'll just start with an honest confession that whatever I'll be saying, I don't have any prepared drafts on anything. Mostly, and entirely will be coming from the practical experience, whatever I had hands-on experience during my college days, and even in my first startup as a student entrepreneur, and whatever I got to learn from it and everything regarding that. So, starting with, I will encourage all of you to explore whatever your niche is, and you can pursue whatever your hobbies and interests are. But also, since we are, I mean, all of the tech enthusiasts who can relate to me more than the non-tech people, because but still I'll say, like, if you have that problem solving acumen within you and you are wanting to explore some things, you are wanting to do something of your own, so this is the perfect time to do that. And starting from the first and second years, we normally are interested in like learning about what is, what is this course about, this college about, and all these things. We get interested in these things. We get involved in clubs and societies and those things. But yes, keep a separate time for yourself. I'll suggest that, which can be more beneficial to you once you pass out of the first and second years, and you will be in your later years. So that is the most. The most of the learning will come from these 2 years only, and after that you will be only like owning your skills, and you will be like constricting it to a more narrowed kind of field. So starting with this, I'll just want to know like a quick hands-on, like how many of you are here who know about entrepreneurship cell in Jadavpur University, who have been a part. So I have been a part of that, and the most of my college time used to be there, where I used to be involved in those things. So you guys know about ESL, right, in JU?
Yeah, I'm sure most of the people do.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
few
So
people are
I
members too.
That's great. That's great. So I in my first year, ESL was the, society, or ESL was the organization which gave me the most exposure to actually try on things. When I came into college, I was more of a introvert kind of person who used to like whatever I used to build or whatever I used to try on, I usually kept that to myself. So ESL was the first organization which gave me that exposure to go ahead and like talk to people, build, and whatever you have built, just showcase it to people, and you can get to learn from a lot from those networking events and all those things. So yes, ESL has a big contribution in all of that. So I'll suggest all of you, just not just ESL, but yes, get exposed to societies. And IEEE is a huge uh, hugely exposed club, which is like more into kind of these tech things and all those. So it will be helping you a lot. So bring the most of it out. And I'll tell about IEEE because I had been recently to an IEEE conference, which was being organized by JU also, and also I've been to a couple more. So yes, IEEE gives you that exposure, and as long as I know, IEEE is the only club or society in Jadavpur University which is doing all those things in a kind of tech and research and all those things, a combined form. So yes, whenever you are doing anything, try to know why you are doing that thing, and like why am I pursuing this. So even when you are trying to do entrepreneurship, or if you are trying to do anything, if you are building anything out of your passion or your hobby, just one of my personal suggestions would be, yes, find the why because behind it, rather than like what all to do. So if you are sorted with that why, then you are like more, it's like more easier to move on to the next part, and entire thing gets chalked out that way.
Dada, thank you very much for that introduction that would help and motivate a lot of people. And I want to start today at the very beginning. Like everybody comes to JU with some sort of ideas, some sort of plans. For some it's placements, for some people it's not sure. Some people are very sure about pursuing higher studies. For you, I have seen many juniors, I have talked with many people, batchmates, seniors, juniors. There's never a lack of ideas in JU. And very interesting one. But people never seem to make the leap from like an idea to a project, even if it becomes a project, like to a company. Like how did that come about in you? Like we can build a product, not just a project. Like can you tell us about the transition?
Yes. So there was nothing. So even when I started, or like even I'll say that you guys are even more skilled than we were in our college days. So the exposure which you are getting, so I'll encourage all of you to pursue whatever your liking is, and like a product kind of a mindset comes at a later stage. So initially, how we do is, like in my case also, when I along with my co-founders Pranay Kedia and Argodip Sadhu. So I'll just introduce them in one line. So Pranay Kedia is pass out of 2024 chemical engineering bachelor's, and Argodip Sadhu was class of 2023 from food tech. And what Writee wasn't my first startup. Like Writee wasn't like built in such a way that we had to build a business out of it, or we had to build a product out of it. Whatever we had in mind was like we can just have a view of whatever we are building, so that we can just find where the purpose is behind the product which we built. Primarily starting with like Writee was a AI copywriting assistant, right? So when we started building Writee, it was back in January 2022, as far as I remember. So we were discussing on different things and all, and at that time GPT. So most of you may be knowing like GPT, the GPT 3.5 models and all those things right now. So back then GPT was the thing which was released into public, and initially it was released from developer beta. So at that time, we were quite amazed by GPT's capabilities and all, and we tried to do some amazing things out of it. We like initially, I'll say like how it progressed in my case. So when GPT was announced, they initially opened a developer preview, and it was only accessible to the developers based on an invite-only access. So I went and I enrolled in that, and whenever I went ahead and I just waited. Like I didn't expect anything. I will get access to that and all those things. But one day I just received a mail like, yeah, you have been enabled access to this, and you can try out GPT. Back then, it was like around 1 year before that, before I started working on writing. So GPT was open for developer only access based on invite basis. So I just casually tried out things like what all is possible from a language model and all. So from there, I could find out that yes, we can build different things. We can even build on this innovation, like where we can generate different kind of texts in natural language based on some prompts and all. So that was quite fascinating and quite amazing back then. And right now there are even multiple applications as you go on to multimodal AI and Gen AI, those things. But still, back then it was only text, natural language was the only thing which was concerning about GPT models. So we tried to find a use case. We were thinking about like what all can be done. So we found like for example the marketers and the social media marketers, the digital marketers, these people were having a hard time in writing their copies. So by copy, I mean like whatever drafts they're making. It may be a blog article, it may be a social media ad, it may be an Instagram post caption, Facebook post caption, anything. So even the advertisers and all. So there is a lot of time which is spent onto these things, right? So for example, if you are just capturing an image and if you are just writing out a blog based on a skeleton or based out of a structure, so there is a lot of time which is, I mean, spent onto overcoming this writer's block. Writer's block means like where to start with. Even I think you all may be able to relate with it. Some of you who are into paper writing or maybe blog writing and those things, or even when you are just like writing down a post, right? You have clicked a good picture in your mobile phone, you just want to post it on Instagram, and like you have selected the picture, but you don't know what all to write in the caption, right? So that feeling is known as writer's block. Like what should I start with? So these GPT models, these AI-based models, these can actually help us in brainstorming on those things so that we can get a starting point from where we can take it forward. So back then we perceived the entire thing in such a way that yes, AI can do these things, but we need to train them or we need to guide them in such a way that instead of replacing humans, we can just assist humans. So we can we can shorten that time which is spent into writing all these copies and these things. So we are not telling that you just churn out the entire content and push it to your social media and all, because there will be a lot of, I mean, things which needs to be edited after that even. So the primary motive behind building the IT was like, if you are a small team or if you are a, I mean, company which is a even at a bigger scale, so that will help you to shorten your marketing time as well as resources, and you can just churn out a lot of content in a short amount of time. Like even I'll say like most of you, even if you have read on Writee's blogs, so like 60 to 70% of them were started with building with Writee itself, and then we edited onto it. So the social media team and also they edited onto it and we published them. So even you can see the quality of that. So it's not like you just churn out any content out of it. So there are certain rules and I mean things which are necessary to guide it into the most, I mean, valuable response which you can use it, right? So that was the primary thing. Like we started it as just as a project, like let's try out what is possible. Let's try out as just as a personal project on my GitHub, or like we tried onto a team project and all. We started like that, and then we found like yes, this thing is in demand. So if we bring such a thing to the people, how can it be useful for them? And like who all are the target audience or the target customers who are able to use it? So we initially did a POC with some of our known friends. So I don't have that screenshot right now, but I would be able to show you like what was the initial or the first version of Writee. It was just a plain basic HTML form. It had like 2 to 3 fields. So whenever we just opened the page, it was like a blue screen with some white fields and forms. So we were to enter a prompt. Back then, we were not using the term prompt. We were just asking for like what is the caption about, what is the tone of that caption, and like what are you describing it, what is the target audience. and if you want to add hashtags or not. So we just took these 3-4 inputs and we were generating a caption out of that. And like that was a crazy thing back then, like when these things were not into that much practice, because like these GPT models and all these are released into public only during the these recent years. Before that, it was only a developer only exposure kind of thing. So like it was primarily generating captions, and then we ventured into like generating blogs and website copies and all those things and marketing materials and these things. So slowly we started with only one thing, and we saw that this thing is happening end to end. Then we started adding use cases to it, and we approached customers, we approached people who can like use it, and in this way, like just a small project got into a product, and finally we branded it into a company, and finally those things, the operations and all those are happening. So yeah, once you have a super product, so after that you are like just finding out use cases, and you are just finding out customers, potential people who can just bring onto it. So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things which happened with us in student life, because like we were first time entrepreneurs, right? We were not experienced ones. So what all experience we had was only those college coursework and those things. But yes, I would highly appreciate the seniors and people like the dadas and didis who were in ESL back then, who propelled us a lot. They say like, yes, কিছু করছিস যখন কর, বাট ইয়েস মানে যেটা করছিস সেটা সবার সামনে এনে দেখা। সো সেটা সেটার এক্সপোজার, like I'll just translate to English again. Like whatever we are building, we should be able to provide it end to end to the people so that it is usable. And there is a huge difference in like whenever you are developing a project on a personal project basis and whenever you are doing it for serving it to a public. So there are a lot of things comes in. So that was the only way by which we could get like what is the experience hands on these real world problems and all those things. So whenever you are doing it as a personal thing, like there are a lot of things we skip, like so we just keep it some secrets exposed and those things are happening. We don't scale it, we don't do any of those things. So but whenever releasing to the public, so we need to keep those checks in mind. So regulations come in, the data regulations come in, privacy, these things come in, so we need to take care of those things. So yeah, that thing was quite interesting for us. Even the formation of the company, so the formation of a business from scratch, so what all things are coming into it, even like for the incorporation of a new company, what all things you need to do, what all legal complications may come in, what all things you need to comply to before like you are releasing a thing to the public. So all of those things were a lot of new experiences, a new learning for me and even my teammates also. So I would say yes, like it doesn't matter, it would be a hit product or it would be something which you can like bring to people, but yes, just start with it. Don't just keep that thing like, yes, many people are having ideas here, but what makes a difference is like if you can execute it or not. So that execution part, that initial execution, that thing is what will make the change. So you may be seeing that there are different deep plan events, competitions, hackathons and all those things, but what is the output of it? Like they provide a certificate, they provide a participation, or if you perform better, appreciation certificate, and at max it comes as a PDF to you, or it may is showcased on your LinkedIn, nothing else, right? So it's up to that. So that learning remains to yourself, and that thing is saturated at that point. So whenever you are trying to take that one step ahead, you will be needing to take that extra step on your own, that you will be building a business out of it or a product out of it. That is a different kind of thing. So that comes next when you have a stable thing. So one step by step it progresses.
Thank you so much. That was very comprehensive for me, and that would be very helpful for everyone in this meet and everyone who will be tuning in the future. Let me go back to one point you mentioned, which was about training the AI model to make it help better and better. Like there are several students who are fascinated by AI. They may not have yet started like learning the technological side of it, but at this point, almost everyone uses AI or has been in interaction with it in some form or other. So I want to ask you, like for the young students especially, for the people coming in, if they want to become someone who works in the field of AI, like at an industrial level, where to get started for them on a purely technical side, like in college?
Yeah, sorry. So I would like interpret here as like you people, all of you are like starting to do with AI just because it's a buzzword, or like you are actually wanting to know what the insights of AI are, like what are we trying to build with it, and like the primary problem which is right now present with people is like we are applying AI to anything and everything. Like we don't know, we are not analyzing that is AI required in this or not. Is this AI task or is it a, I mean, simple automation task? We don't analyze these things. We don't calculate. We just say we want to apply AI to this. We are building an AI based this thing, AI based startup based anything. So what I would like to primarily focus on is first evaluate, first know the thing, like what are we building, what is the end thing going to be, and if AI is required in this or not. So the first thing comes is if it is required or not, and if it is not required, still I am applying AI on that. So what is the benefits I am getting out of that, and is it relevant to the people whom I am serving the product to? So first you need to evaluate this thing, that is the AI thing required or not. So once you have figured out this thing, yes, so if AI is required, then you need to consider like what is the advantages, what are the pitfalls, what are the things I should know about before going on to that. So primarily, when since I was being involved in a lot of computer science based AI based research work when I was in my college, so that was a primary thing which motivated me to like convert some of my research work into a product based thing. So we were like, I was associated in some of the research labs in department, computer science department, and from there itself, I got the motivation from people like I was writing papers, I was building things, and I was publishing things, but the thing remained to that itself. For example, I'll just take an example. We built something on healthcare. Say we were trying to remove the practice of polymedicine or polypharmacy. Say whenever Dr. A prescribes a medicine A for some disease, and Dr. B again prescribes medicine B for another disease. So when you are telling that yes, I am having cough and yeah, I am having fever and also I am having constipation issues and all those things, so they are providing medicines based on whatever problems you are telling. So for problem A, they'll give you medicine A. Problem B, they'll give you medicine B. But since you are having three problems, they give you 3 to 4 medicines for an example. So, but whenever we are going to analyze these things, we see that these medicines are interacting among themselves and it may be harmful for you. So maybe these 4 medicines are not needed. We can actually solve the entire purpose with 2 medicines. We can reduce the entire thing and remove the harmful interactions. So this is what polypharmacy comes in, and it's like works on the drugs and genes interactions and all those things. So that was a project I did back then in my research work, and I tried to convert it into a product and all. Even I tried to take it to some kind of a product based thing, and like I wanted to know like is it actually applicable in the real world or like it's only based inside the lab itself. So that was the primary motivation. And like after you know the purpose behind what you are building, then comes like what are the required technical challenges, what are the operational challenges and all those things. So since starting with AI, I will say like yes, build the base very strong. Like what are you doing with like what is AI first of all, what is machine learning, deep learning and all those things, and then come up with these buzzwords like Gen AI and those things. So these are the things which are built on all those things. So once you have that base strong, I'll say like start on with some courses which are available right now. So everything is available right now on free mostly. So go on with those courses and all, and even read books firstly, and I'll say like follow some good communities, get involved into those, follow some good newsletters. So people who are interested in AI and all those things. So I'll just suggest 2 newsletters which I used to follow, and even I do right now. One is the download by MIT Technology Review, and the second is what I follow is by Deep Learning AI. So these 2 newsletters are very helpful for you all. So keep updated with things and follow some famous people's blogs and all. Keep updated with Twitter and even Reddit also. So Reddit, there are very good communities and all present right now. And keep updated with whatever is happening. And yes, so that is a primary thing which will, I mean, keep you focused and it will keep you updated. So in this field, there is nothing like I know this thing and I'll be knowing it for lifetime. You need to keep yourself updated every day, each and every day. You need to get yourself skilled. Like even for example, I'll just take a scenario. If you are getting placements and all, so and you must be hearing about layoffs and all these are happening. So why are these happening? Have you ever thought of this? Say you are getting skilled in something. So let's say you are skilled in Java, and a company hires you for your Java experience. Someday later, they are developing something which is replacing some of your work. So they are automating some part of your work and using GenAI or using any other technology A. So at that point of time, you are not aware of technology A, but you are only using traditional methods to do your Java-based development. So what happens is they'll just cut short the time and resources which are spent after or behind you, and they'll just invest on those things, right? So once they start minimizing those kinds of resources, you will be automatically checked out. So that is the primary reason why layoffs are happening. Because say, for example, if you are someone who is keeping up with the skills and whatever is necessary for using the new age tools and all, whatever can be implemented, which can actually, so businesses right now are only focused on revenue, right? So if you are doing something which is directly impacting their business revenue, their profits and all, you are building something which is actually impacting that. So only then you are an asset to that company. Else, like, you are always having that fear of like, yes, I'll be, of the fear of job loss and all. So you need to keep yourself updated. You need to keep yourself skilled every day, and it's not like learning stops here. So you need to learn everything. I mean, each day you need to learn new things. Even I learn a lot of things which I used to. I didn't learn in college. So even I learn nowadays also from my colleagues and all, even my juniors and all, everyone. So you need to keep yourself updated. I mean, following new blogs, newsletters, follow events and all. When go and participate in events, and try hands-on doing any research work and all. If you can tie up with people, so networking is nothing. I mean, nowhere detrimental to this thing, right? So you can always take an advantage of that, and you can propel yourself forward.
Thank you so much. And moving on to a different angle of like starting up in college. Like as we know, like launching a product, starting a company, like officially involved a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
So one of our students asked a question. We wanted to make this initiative inclusive of everyone. So they asked like, how is government of India looking at startups, like in general and more specifically, startups about SaaS or AI? Like, are they open to it or are they a bit wary about it? Because we know there have been a lot of startups which have been coming out in this domain, and they are like often like assuming the market is bigger than what it is, and they have been closing down pretty often. Or even the bigger ones are struggling to turn a profit.
In this case, like, I will suggest, like, if you are starting up, so there are various resources which the government of India provides. So if you are starting up, so there are various benefits also which you can take from the government. So there are different initiatives. So starting with, I will just talk about from the paperwork and all. So when we started in college, so there were different a lot of paperwork. Even we didn't know what are the actual paperwork, what all happens in incorporating your first company, or you need to get yourself registered with the government before you can actually start operations. So what kind of companies are, like, if it's a private limited company, LLP, or if it's an OPC or whatever, it's a proprietorship or anything. So these are the primary types of companies which are having. So what are the legalities? What are the paperwork which happens? So we call this process an incorporation of the company. So you need to get yourself registered. So there are different things. You need to provide address proofs. You need to get yourself incorporated. There are different things. There's a memorandum of association and all those things. So you need to describe to the government what are you doing, what will be your regular activities, what is your annual expected turnover, and all these things. So what are the activities you are engaged in, and by using all those things, then you have to fix like who are the directors. If it's a private limited company, there are two or more directors and all. So say for example you are teaming up with two friends of yours and you are trying to form or incorporate a company. I'm leaving that thing aside, that yes, you are having some kind of a product, now you want to incorporate. So I am leaving the earlier part aside. I am starting with how should you incorporate, or how should you get all those paperwork done. So back in our time, we took help from the service called Vakil Search. So it was quite famous back then. It There are numerous companies right now also. Even if you go and approach some incubators, they are also providing you such approaches. Now I like to bring upon the topic of IIC. You may have heard, Institutes Innovation Council. So which was, I mean, back in my time, IIC was not there when I was just leaving out of college. So then ESL and all those people teamed up, and like IIC came into place. So Jadavpur University established its own incubation center, which is named Institutions Innovation Council. So they have also formed various policies and all. They like give you office space and all those things, give you a registered address and all, so which you can use for your business purposes and all. They can give you office space for the operations and all those things. Some resources you can get, even you can get some seed grant and all. So these things are quite functional nowadays. You can approach the ESL team, or you may approach the IIC team directly. So they'll help you with those things. So this comes with incorporation. Once you are incorporated, so it's like you are registered. So you get your certificate of incorporation. Say these three people are directors in that company, and these are the company documents. You are verifying and all those things. You have done these process with the government of India, and it takes like around um, 7 to 10 working days to get the entire thing processed. You need to get your digital signatures and all those things done. So once that thing is done, then comes the legal complications. You need to firstly open the bank account. You need to appoint a CA, chartered accountant, for your company. So those things are there, and he actually does all those paperwork. You need to get all those stamps done. So in our college days, it was very interesting. Like people were having labs. We were coming out of gate number 2. We went to 8B. We were like making stamps. So when we got our first stamp, like director stamp written, like director this things, we were very excited. Even I have that entire paper where I tested the stamp right now in my bag. So I have even kept that thing. So those things are very exciting. So we did those things. Even then opening bank account. So I'll tell a personal experience of ours. So I and me and Pranay KDS, so Pranay and me were doing all those documentations mostly, and like we thought of doing opening a bank account with ICICI. So we called the ICICI lady. So she was to come and verify the document. So she said like where can we come and verify? So we called her to campus. So she came in front of our canteen. So I even have the photo. It's also there in Pranay's blog also. So we were signing documents sitting in the tree under there. So it's in front of our canteen. We were signing the documents for ICICI Bank document opening and all, and we just did from there. And after that, the documents were done. The bank account was open. Then we need to deposit a specific amount of cash, which is known as the working capital or whatever the authorized capital, and all those things are there. So you need to deposit money, and then you need to get your bank account done, and then all those audits and those things come in. So you need to, if you are filing for a GST number, then you need to get yourself registered on the West Bengal GST portal, and you will get your GST number from there. And even after that, there are regular compliance, like you have to file your GST forms and all those things on a regular basis, monthly basis, and quarterly, and all those things are there. So even so, there are different things. You need to maintain your own balance sheet and all those things. So the entire paperwork process is done in this way. And you need to have your first board meeting. You need to have your letterhead, and then you need to have your own. I mean that thing. What is that thing called? Authorized signatory. So one person will be authorized, or multiple persons can be done, who will be acting on behalf of your company, and he can take decisions. So he can sign documents. So those things are there. So you have to get this entire process done. If you want to read, so you can just go on and read on clear text and all. And these people have very good documentations, like what all are required in forming or incorporating your first company. So we did Googling. Even I remember that we didn't approach Vakil Search in the first instance. We were very experimental. We just went and applied on the government website itself. Our first name reservation got rejected. And then we applied to Vakil Search. So Vakil Search got our application from there, and they filed a rectification, and we got our name applied. I mean approval after that. So but I would suggest, yes, go forward with any service provider who are available. If you are not going on to take all these hectic things, because these require very much, I mean, legal compliances are there. You need to get lawyers sign, CS sign, and all those things are required. So I will suggest always like go with any service provider. I'm not, I mean, promoting Vakil Search or anything, but just go with any trustable source. And after that, you can just get, once your company is incorporated, you can just go with the legal activities. Then there are various programs. So to like to mention two programs. So one was the Razorpay Rise program. So this is one incubation program which is provided by Razorpay. So the payment service provider system, you may be knowing Razorpay. So they provide this Razorpay Rise program, which is a very good incubation program, and like they provide different pro bono services under it. So once you get accepted to that, even they help you with different kinds of services, discounted these things, cloud credits to deploy your application, and all those things. And another is this NVIDIA Inception program. So in this NVIDIA Inception program, also this is another kind of an incubation program where they also provide you with AWS credits. As far as I remember, it was of I think $25,000 worth of credits on AWS. So that is the NVIDIA Inception program. And there are other programs too which you can apply. So there are different programs. There are NASCOM program also, and even you can directly apply to AWS Activate program. So these are some very good incubation programs which are out there, and which can provide you with different kind of services which you may be needing to build your startup, and to build your product, and to build whatever you are doing. Like so, deploying those things, some legal services, and those things are there. So once you get accepted to these incubation programs, this will go on parallelly along with your development of the product. And after that, you get all of these support, and when you have a ready product which you can just try out with users. I'll not say like you have a market ready product in the first instance, but you will have something which people can try out. So from that instance, just approach people, get that validation done, that if this thing is needed or not, and then you will obviously have thousands of iterations based on that until you reach your final end product, right? So the entire thing will go on like this. So we Googled things, we saw different things on YouTube, we were following these things, even we made many mistakes, but we learned from all of them. And even these things are quite essential. Like once, since having a first-hand experience being a student, so this was quite intriguing for all of us. So once we did all of that, we had that cash deposited in the bank account. Each of us had our share certificates, and also we were issued shares and all. So we also need to know how to transact using these shares. And we, for example, since you are like now students, right? So right now you can take decisions as an independent person, but when you form a company you cannot take decisions like that. When you are taking company decisions behalf of someone, you need to have some board resolutions being done. So those things are already into place. You need to have quite a hold on those things. You need to get in touch with people, because like failing in these legal compliances is a very great risk which we had. Like you like we were very afraid of like failing of all this. So because failure of any one or two of these things will result in a lot of government fines and dues and all those things. So I'm sure you don't want to get into those things. So that's why just be careful and learn from whatever things you are doing. But I'll say like don't come back. Whatever you are trying to do, take it a step forward. What can happen at max? Like it will fail. Let's say you will get some like you will do some mess ups and all those things will happen. But whatever, just take that thing forward and keep that ongoing.
That was quite an interesting journey for all of us. And yeah, like doing all of that things together during college as well as maintaining studies, that will surely like motivate a lot of listeners. Personally, it also motivated me. As I told you before, we took a few questions from the public so that we have an idea of how everyone feels about this and what they want to get through to you. So now, for a little bit, Audrija Mukherjee will convey you some of the questions from the public.
Yeah, sure.
Audrija, please.
Good evening, Dada. So, the
Good
first
evening.
question that I find quite interesting that has come from the audience has been asked by Shuddha Shattu Guho. And the question is, in the future, when we hopefully have generative AI, can it act as an entrepreneur independently if it wants to? That is, can generative AI create and innovate products imitating human mind?
Quite an interesting question, I'll say. So this is quite relating to Gen AI and entrepreneurship. So Gen AI is a very, I mean, buzzword right nowadays. So as someone who's built an AI startup, so using GPT-3 for copywriting, I have the first-hand experience with both the power and the limitations of the current AI technologies. While Gen AI has made impressive strides, so true entrepreneurship involves much more than just generating ideas or content, right? So from my experience at Writee, I can say that while AI was excellent at generating copy, the core entrepreneurial aspects like identifying the market need or like designing the product and like navigating the business landscape. So all of this required human insight and decision making, right? So entrepreneurship normally often involves these identifying the unmet needs in the market, and then it will always require understanding the complex human emotions and motivations. You need to navigate certain business environments. You need to build relationships. So building relationships is very important in this entrepreneurial journey. You need to build a relationship with your customers, your investors, your partners, and you always have to adapt to unforeseen challenges, right? So while AI can assist in these areas, but it currently lacks the intuition. It lacks the emotional intelligence and adaptability that human entrepreneurs can bring to the table. So that said, I'll say like AI will play an increasingly important role in entrepreneurship. At Writee, we use AI to enhance human creativity and not replace it. I believe like this collaborative approach where AI amplifies the human capabilities is the most promising path forward. Like you don't like replace humans, but you are having AI or even Gen AI as an assistive technology. So like remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about creating products, it's just about solving problems and adding value to people's lives. Whatever you are building or whatever you are doing, it should finally add value to someone or the other, right? So while AI can be a powerful tool in this process, but the vision and the passion that can drive like this true innovation are still fundamentally like human qualities only. It cannot be replaced by some kind of machine and all. So like yes, Gen AI can create and innovate products, but it will always remain an assistant. And I'll always suggest like yes, use AI or even Gen AI like that, but don't like try to replace it. Make the most out of it as an assistive technology.
That is quite a pragmatic answer and does complete justice to the creative question. So, next in line, I'm going to ask you one more creative question. That is, nowadays, AI powered climate alert solutions are trending in the business world. If we look at it, every company is trying to build more on climate effective solutions. So, what is the significant intersection between AI, climate, and entrepreneurship that drives this trend, drawing lucrative partnerships from even governments sometimes?
That is nothing much of a surprise because like climate and all these things, those are contributing to the UN sustainability goals. So like climate and these things will always be there. And whenever you are building some things which are sustaining or which are aligned towards the UN sustainability goals, you will always be getting a support from the government or even the agencies who are there. And right now, I'll say like because of these AI models, because of the powerful models which can actually work on huge quantities of data. So climate and all those things are actually uh, focused on, or it's based on a lot of data, fine-grained data, and the volume of data is huge. So you need to work on that. For example, to do a simple forecasting task, also you need to work and you need to look at a lot of huge chunks of data, and you need to get that thing processed and you need to get that thing analyzed before you can make any inference or you can make any forecast, right? So AI has been quite an assistant in these climate tools and technologies which are being built, because these things are actually quite suited because of its use case, right? So AI can actually process a lot of data in one chunk, which will require a lot of human tasks. So once we have that technology to look back at the data, those time series data which are back there. Once we have that technology to look at those fine-grained data, we can have that inference. So it's not possible because from a human mind to know and to relate to all of those data to make an inference. So only a machine can do that, and AI is actually popular in this field because it is reasoning on that data and it is finding new patterns. It is looking at new patterns. So it's all about that pattern and all forecasting. So we look at any pattern which is present in the data which is available with us, and we predict something based on that pattern. So it's entirely revolving around this pattern analysis. So AI is the thing which is most suited for this entire task, and it will be primarily a tool which can help us in forecasting all those things. Even you can see if you are following Google DeepMind's blog and all those things, so they are building different things based on these things, and which are assisting in climate regulation, not regulation, I'll say like prediction of different natural calamities, to manage different things and all. So all of that is based on time series data and all those things. So since it's everything is based on the data, right? Since you are looking forward at text data, or you are looking at an image data or a video data, you are looking at cyclone data and all those things, or if you're looking at air pollution data. So I'll focus on this thing since I worked on one of this in my college research work. So I was back in my lab with the help of Professor Sarvani Roy and Asif Da, who was a PhD student, and he's also right now there. So in our department, so we worked on two projects. One was air sense and one was noise sense. So these two were focused on like getting analysis of what all air particle parameters are there, what all noise parameters are there, right? So there are various public air quality stations, so which can provide the air quality data, but these are very high granular data because these are recorded at very frequent intervals, and we need to look at all of them before we can make predictions. So the more data you can actually churn, the more accurate decisions you can make. So that makes AI a more promising field in this. And once you are aligned to these goals, you are sustaining, you are doing things like even myself right now being in Schlumberger, which is an oil field services company. So they are currently making things which are environment friendly. They are moving on to renewable sources. They are moving on to hydrogen and all those things. So whenever we can make out energy from all those things, instead of going with the traditional oil and those fossil fuels and waste energy. So whenever you are doing things which can actually move into a more greener perspective, so that will always get support from the government or whichever organizations are around you.
Okay, that was surely a fulfilling answer. Now, next in line is a simple question that anyone who would take interest in entrepreneurship and AI would like to ask you. That is, how can AI help identify, exploit new market opportunities? What are some emerging AI trends that entrepreneurs should be aware of? And it has been asked by Devaditya Ghosh, one of our audience.
Okay. So in this one, I'll say like it's divided into two parts. So the first one was like how can AI identify and exploit new market opportunities? So this can be jotted down in various points. So when you are exploiting new market opportunities, right, you are doing primarily a few things. So starting with, you need to do some data analysis. So AI can process vast amounts of market data to identify patterns and trends which humans might miss. So looking at all of that thing is quite impossible for humans. Secondly, we need to do some predictive analytics. Say we have the data, now we have that granular data, and we have to predict something. We need to forecast some trends, right? So AI models can forecast those market trends. So which using which entrepreneurs can identify future opportunities. Then comes some customer insights. You need to do some sentiment analysis. So you need to do some behavior detection. For example, you need to know, for example, you are ordering something on Swiggy and you are writing a review on that. So whenever I am developing an app, if I am an engineer from Swiggy, what I'll do, like if I want to analyze, say so there's a restaurant nearby, restaurant A, which sells biryani, and there are 12 customers who have ordered it today, and they have wrote different reviews. So when I am analyzing a lot of data at that time, say after a year when I'm analyzing, like what is the most common issue which people are facing, and what is the most common negative as well as positive feedback from that biryani which they have ordered. So I'll just go and I'll just filter all of that out and I'll find out the sentiment. So there are huge chunks of reviews which people have written. I need to do a sentiment analysis of all of that, and when I am going to do that in bulk, only AI can help me in that. So that is a primary thing. So based on that, we can take business decisions. So if they are telling that the biryani is more spicy, so that is an overall behavior, or I can say that sentiment analysis from the reviews. If they are telling that thing is more spicy, then the restaurant knows like that's the reason because of the decline in orders across the months. So I need to test something, like I need to build it something which can cater to their food taste or taste buds. So once I do with that, I can follow up with my experimentation. So AI can help me to analyze all of that data to know what is the customer insights, what the customer wants from the different things. So AI can help in that. Then comes the personalization part. So AI can help in hyper personalizing products and services, and they can help create new niche markets. Right. Then I can say like AI can help in competitive analysis. So AI tools can currently monitor different competitors, and they can analyze the industry trends in real time. So it leads to identifying the gaps in the market. So identifying and analyzing all of these entire data using, I mean, human eyes is a very difficult thing. Then it can also help in product development and risk assessment, like what are the risks in new markets and aiding, which are helping decision making. So these are the points which are being helped by AI, which can help me identify new market opportunities, which can finally help me in progressing my business, increasing my revenue or my profits and all those things. So there are different points. Then I'll come to the second part. So there are some. So you asked like what are the emerging AI trends which entrepreneurs should be aware of. So this is a very, I mean, common question, but I'll just summarize it very short. So there are different kinds of things. Like once you stay updated with the different kinds of things which are happening nowadays. For example, generative AI. Then you need to know what is edge AI. So generative AI, you everyone may be knowing it. So we use GPT-3 for IT, but the technology is advanced very much, and now it is being used for different multimodal tasks as well. So this is one of the things. Then comes edge AI. So these are the different forms of AI and all those things. So where it can be applied. So edge AI means when you are running AI models on local devices for faster and more private processing. So you may be seeing Apple and Samsung. These people are coming up with new tools each days for image editing and all those things, which can do AI based things in the blink of an eye. So how are they doing this? So they are running edge models. Then comes explainable AI. So this is a quite new field, but still people are having this in research nowadays. So as AI becomes more prevalent, there's a growing interest and there is a growing focus on making AI decisions interpretable. That not just treating AI as a black box, you need to know how and why is this reasoning coming. So if some model has predicted that tomorrow, based on the last 1 month's pattern, tomorrow it may be raining. So why is it coming? Is it noticing that there has been rain on Saturdays across the past month, or like there's a very much evidence, I mean, evidence and pattern which I can notify the weather authorities and all. So you need to know the reason behind the decisions and not just the decisions. So that is what explainable AI is concerned about. Then you need to know about something is AI in sustainability. So how it can be helping to address the environmental challenges and it can optimize the resource use. Then comes federated learning, one of the things. So federated learning. So these are high end things. These are just technical terms which you may be knowing. and you can even Google them. So right now there are different kinds of private data, right? So there are some data which hospitals have, some data which even defense organizations have. So there are different private data which people cannot just give to some cloud providers and to process them on the cloud. So they are having some private data which are stored in some decentralized devices or servers. So you can have AI trained on those. So that is called federated learning. So there are different things. And then we have multimodal AI where you can use a combination of images, documents, videos, and all different kinds of things to infer something. So as an entrepreneur, I'll say like staying aware of all of these trends is very crucial. With Writee, we leverage the then emerging trend of language models for a specific application, right? And today's entrepreneurs have even more powerful tools at their disposal. And but it's important to consider both the opportunities as well as the ethical complications. So I'll just recall back in August 2023, India had its own data protection bill. So I'm not sure of the name. So there was this data protection bill, so which provided I safeguarded the customer data, so the people's personal data. So even when these things are coming in, you need to have more careful eyes on these legal complications and these things before you can take any decisions. And when you are, especially when you are dealing with personally identifiable information.
Thank you so much. You have highlighted all the important aspects like competitive analysis in a business that saves humans tedious work when we actually use AI. Then you have spoken about explainable AI, which helps identify based on what AI codes give such outputs, and so many more insights. So, building upon that, there is one more question I'd like to ask you. If any startup requires the use of patented AI technology, since research in AI is progressing very fast, and some AI portions that you might require in your startup has been already patented by someone else, how should one go about acquiring the rights to use it, given the increasing importance of the patent holders?
Yeah. So for the patented things, I have not been very much exposed to these things because our product primarily revolved around the thing which was provided as a developer only service and finally released to the public, right? But whenever you are using some patented products which are patented by some companies, normally what is the procedure is like you have to give the credits to those people. Whenever you are building a product or a service based on that, you need to have, there are some requirements. Say for example, whenever you are working with any research paper, right? So you need to refer them, you need to provide them as citations. So you need to refer them from where you are getting. And even if you are, when you are building some presentations and all, you need to write the source from where you are getting. So even those people may be having some requirements. Say like you, it's not like you cannot use our service since we have patented it, but you can use. But once you start using it, there are some certain required rules and regulations following which you can use it. So if you are not following those things, or if you are deviating from those things, so those can lead you to some legal complications. So that enables them to have the access to have that right over you, so that they can file a case or some things will happen which can actually be detrimental to your progress. So I'll say like before moving on with any patented technologies, just consult the people who are having the patent, and they are normally, I mean, having those rules and regulations listed somewhere because they know that their patented technologies are going to be used by some people for their services, right? So right now, OpenAI and these things also, they have built these things, but whenever you are using those things, so there are different kinds of rules and regulations which they have mentioned. You cannot upload any personal information, you cannot make them infer on any identifiable information. So like say like you are, whenever you are looking at any image, say like if you are recording this meeting and if you are putting it to the any of the GPT models, any of those things, and you are asking them like find or infer on the age of the person or infer on the appearance of the person. So these are things which you cannot ask. So these are rules and regulations which govern you when you are using those patented technologies, or when you are using those technologies which are having certain rights of that person who has built it. So I'll say like always go on in like discussing with those people, or go on with like researching on whatever are the rules and regulations before moving forward to incorporate any of those services.
Okay. So thank you for simplifying it up. So basically, we all we need to do is follow the rules and regulations and keep in mind that we are not stealing anybody else's much deserved work of yours. So now I'd hand the mic over to Shakko so he can ask the next question.
Firstly, I would like to thank you from everyone on like IEEE and Jadavpur University. It has been a great evening so far, and all of us has learned a lot, like beyond what words can describe. So I would like to close with a two-part question. Like, since human civilization has begun, like over the years, we have had some breakthroughs and discoveries. There was fire, there was wheel. Most recently, we had electricity and internet. People are calling AI the next big thing. Almost all sectors are involved or are influenced by AI. Like there is energy, there is healthcare, there is obviously software. What do you think like AI will do to other forms of innovation? I have an example. Recently, Apple shut down its team, which has been developing electric cars. Like that's completely something new from Apple. They shut it down. And a few months later, we have Siri incorporating ChatGPT. Like they transform the investment into completely something related to AI, which is obviously a market tactic. And the second part is the upcoming batches of the Jadavpur University or any engineering college. What advice do you have for the young engineers to be future ready? Like that is not to be replaced by what people fear as the great AI invasion of tech jobs.
So like AI is here to remain, right? So whenever you are doing anything or whenever you are trying to incorporate AI into something, I'll always say like move on with something which can actually assist you. Don't like go on like I'll be replacing this thing with AI and those things. So electric cars and those things are something which is not of my expertise, because that is quite a separate thing which are having different kind of research and those things going on behind that. But AI is such a thing which is here to remain, and it is a multi-sector technology which can be applied across various things. So I will always suggest, like even in my journey from Jadavpur University to founding Writee and now working at Schlumberger, I have learned that the most effective approach to using AI is to enhance the human capabilities rather than trying to replace them. So the future of entrepreneurship lies in finding this right balance between AI efficiency and human creativity and insight. So once you have that right balance, and when you are trying to advocate AI for your use case, that will obviously be serving your purpose. It may be reducing resources, it may be helping in some way or the other, but I mean, it's not like replacing something. It will always be augmenting. So even in our case also, while AI can assist in different areas, it currently lacks the intuition or the human or the emotional intelligence, that kind of thing, and the adaptability that is brought by human entrepreneurs, right? So these things are some, I mean, very crucial points which we need to consider. And whenever we are working with things which are incorporating AI, we always need to be careful of the thing that, yes, what is the vision we are looking at 10 years from now or 50 years from now? Not just like in the next year, what this can become. So whenever you are having that thing, like people are working on robotics nowadays, but we don't know like what is the future of it. Even people are working on autonomous vehicles, but that thing is quite not a thing in India as long, I mean, as much as it is in USA or like UK, those things, right? So it's not like stopping things from progressing, but the thing is, how can people adapt? The entire thing depends on what is the existing conditions, what are the available scopes and opportunities where you can bring in. So that is what market research is all about, right? Whenever you are trying to bring something in place of something, when you are trying to replace a thing, or whenever you are trying to bring a new thing to the table, you always need to consider the pros and cons. You need to consider the entire market scenario, if this thing is going to adapt this thing or it will just chuck it out. So you need to consider the entire scenario. You need to have a full view of the scenario which is present there, and you need to have a vision which is at least 10 years from now. And if it's greater, then it's a better. Like for example, I was reading across a research paper yesterday. So it was published by Google, and it was done based on like they were using these large language models to guide robots to like assistive robots, right? So you may be knowing about these Gemini models and all which Google released. So there was this Gemini 1.5 Flash model, which is having the largest context window as the and the self caching abilities which is present nowadays. So they are claiming that they are the only company, or that they are the only company who is building such a product which is having this long context and context caching abilities. So like they'll be I'll just simplify it. It's like they'll remember their previous memory and it will remember the context based on the what it is working on. So they released a simple demo and it was primarily floated on Twitter and then it was floated on their website and all. So there was a robot which was given a video of the walkthrough of an entire room, and the robot was said like find me a place where I can write something. So the robot automatically went through the entire video of that entire place and it mapped the entire place into its mind, and finally it found a place which was a whiteboard, and it navigated that person based on that whatever memory it had to that place where he can actually write something. So there are different things to know from this. Firstly, I'll prepare a map based on which I'll navigate, and then I'll find out what is the requirement. I need to find out a place where I can write. So that relates to some kind of a whiteboard or some uh, walls or something which can be used as a writing pad. So after this thing, it needs to figure out how do I reach from point A to point B where I will be writing. So reasoning all of this requires that long context window as well as this memory, which will help me to do or which will help me to achieve my final objective in some predefined steps or in the steps which I can break down the task into. So all of this thing is focusing on this assistive technology. It's not like the robot will go and write and it will do everything. It will assist me. So this is just an example, which is a very intriguing one, as I saw yesterday. But even I am exploring these things, like how are is going to be applied in real world scenarios. But looking at a perspective from a entrepreneur, or looking from your perspective, which students, AI is here to remain. You just need to adapt yourselves to embrace that AI, and it will always be an assistive technology. It will not be something which will be replacing things. It will be accelerating progress. It will be helping you ship code faster. It will be helping you ship products faster. For example, you may heard of GitHub Copilot. So once that came out, so it was an assistive coding technology. So when that came out, different companies and the developers in different companies went into something a risk and all. Like they went into a job risk and all. Like what will we do if it does enter these things? So even there are points like a coding assistant cannot just write the entire code and build the app and ship it to public. It can always do things up to a certain limit. So there are certain reasons which are restricting it to do that, because it cannot just like write and go through entire code bases and like understand the entire thing. So requirement of the software developers will always be there, or I'll say like the entire thing may be rebranded as like you need to be AI engineers, or you may be robotic coding assistant engineers. So these terms may change. You need to, whenever you are coding something, so right now you are coding a uh, software for a task which is helping in the company's business operations. Tomorrow you will be coding a copilot. You will be coding a programmer who will program the task. So that programming thing will remain, but the task will be changing. That's why I just focused in my initial points also, that try to adapt to the newer technologies which are coming up and be updated with all of those things. But there's nothing else like any risks to this thing. Just stay updated, and as long as you are knowing the things, you are knowing the entire scenario, as long as you are updated with the skills and the technologies which are in buzzwords nowadays, and you are knowing the thing from scratch, right? It's not just I have heard of this thing means I know this. You need to know the entire thing, so that, and try out with projects. Like if you know Gemini, try out something which you can do with that, so that you can just show to people that it's not just I have read a few articles and I know about this. You need to build something out of that. You need to show that this thing can be used in these use cases which people have not explored. So the entire innovative thinking, the creative abilities of humans and all that comes from there itself. So maybe it's not today, it's not tomorrow, but in 2 to 3 years you may be having $1 billion company. So that is the entire process which comes up, right? So don't ever let go of that thinking, that creative ability, but always keep yourself adapted, keep yourself updated with all the emerging trends and technologies or these things. Even like you can get a lot of exposure in your college work also, in your college days. There are faculties, professors, you can approach any department. So Jadavpur University is so, I mean, it's so like helping you to get exposed to people. It has such a strong alumni network. You can always reach out to people which you are seeing in college, or maybe past alumni. You may also reach out to me and also to get contacts and all. So people will not be hesitant at any time. So you can get that network, you can utilize all of that and just propel yourself forward. So that's what I had to say. I would like to focus one more point is like back when we started with Writee, it was in the COVID time, so we couldn't connect that much with people. But since you guys are now in college, regular physical classes and all are going on, so you can meet people. So I would like suggest and encourage all of you to take advantage of that opportunity where you can actually connect with people, talk with people face to face, and have a conversation, whatever you are concerning about. So I'll say like take advantage of that thing. So that thing propels a lot. So whenever we were used to work from home and those things, so when COVID was back then, it reduced the productivity a lot. It increased the productivity for the coders and all, but still that kind of networking doesn't happen from home, right? Over a Gmeet, which can happen like let's go on, sit in green zone over a cup of tea or whatever and just talk it out. So when you are having that physical access to people, to the network, to the alumni, whatever is present there, so I would always say like take advantage of that thing. And even in JU, people are not hesitant to give you access to something which can actually help you build something. Like since nowadays also even labs are getting more progressive, there are IICs coming in, ECL is doing such great progress. I'll just focus and like encourage all of you to get involved in all of that. And like whatever you are having in mind, don't just keep it there, try to convert it into some kind of a shippable product and all. I'll encourage all of you, even if someone from this meeting or who are watching live, if someone is having something out of an idea or anything, I'll just encourage all of you, like just even if possible just drop me a message, I'll connect with you. I'll be more than happy to connect back with you or even be relating you to people who can actually help you out in that. So that thing, I will always suggest you to take initiatives and execute what you are planning. Don't just keep it into plans. That will be a great, I mean, thing which I can expect from my university. So people, since you are very much involved in these technical things and all those, so from IEEE also, I'll encourage the team from IEEE to give that push. If possible, you can just float these documents and all those things, like whatever the opportunity is there, so that people can know. Say, so that lack of information, lack of communication shouldn't happen. And after that, it's entirely on you guys. So how you want to take forward. Back in our time, there were not much startups. I will suggest, like in college, we were the first one, and another one was there who did their startups in college. So there was a handful only. But nowadays, since people are knowing things, they are looking at. I mean, even alumni and even people who are doing great things. So don't just, so being in college doesn't just restrict you from doing things. Take advantage of the opportunity and make the most of it. Get access to the people, the alumni, whatever is present there. Make the most of the resources and build whatever you want. So there is no limits on like your educational qualifications and also even people who are out of college, they are getting crores of funding from the college itself. So that is nothing which is preventing you from doing anything huge. So start to dream that way, and it will obviously help you propel in the long run. Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone who watched here and participated. Thank you. Thank you. Will be happy to connect with you all. So I think the IEEE team, I think you can just float my LinkedIn URL or like anything so they can connect over me over my mail ID or anything. I'll be happy to revert back. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Good night.